Not really sure what I'm going to title this video, but I wanted to go through and kind of just recap my trading week so far because it's been a lot of learning for me with how the market's been moving. And so I kind of just want to share what I did and what I learned from this week. So Sunday night, when the market opened, we tapped this daily gap. This was a daily gap, and obviously this is a lot of liquidity. And we have a new week opening gaps. So going into Monday morning's New York session, I was like, okay, we just swept out a lot of liquidity, hit a daily gap. Probably going to want to go fill this new week opening gap. And so if we go over here, see market opened. We got a wick up, and then we started to get some manipulation. And while we didn't really manipulate any like 15-minute low or anything, 5 or 15-minute low, I believe we SMT'd. So where'd we SMT? Yeah, we SMT'd this 5-minute low we put in after market open. And so I think that was where, in my mind, I'm like, okay, we probably aren't going to go much lower. Like, we're probably not going to go fill any more gaps or manipulate any more. So I'll start looking for longs. And I wonder if this was a 1-minute entry day because I'm not seeing any um, higher time frame entries. Yeah, okay, it was a 1-minute entry. So boom, 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 boom. Where are we? Holy, we've been ripping. Yeah, so once I start to see this SMT form and there were no higher time frame gaps that I didn't need to wait to inverse for, or didn't need to wait for to inverse, because the new week opening gap is such a strong draw, I was just waiting for the 1-minute break of structure. And this candle did scare me a little bit, just because, Trump's been tweeting a lot and there's been like a lot of volatile news. But I was confident in the bias, confident in the setup, and so I just entered on this candle close. My fill might have been a little higher, like somewhere like here. And then I rode up to the new week opening gap fill, which I'll show you what I used as the fill. But basically, we missed TP by a couple points. And so I got stopped in profit on this down move. Trying to think where my stop would have been. It was somewhere, it might have been this low, or like on this candle, I might have trailed to here. And so either way, we get stopped here. So I ended up getting a winning day there, and I was done for the day there. But so what I use for the new week opening gap, instead of going on to like the 15-minute and doing like this wick or something, which is kind of like what you would do for a fair value gap, which is kind of how you treat the new week opening gaps, new day opening gaps. I have been using the close of the last candle. So the Friday market closed right there, and so that's what my target was. But yeah, that was Monday, pretty clean. And then, so we just continued to rip that day. I was checking that like Tuesday night into Asia session and just saw we were ripping. And then that's kind of where my problems started for Tuesday. So Tuesday was a really bad day. So while I was checking Asia session, not looking to take trades or anything, but I think I saw we were somewhere like, yeah, right here. And I'm like, oh, tomorrow shorts are going to be so free. Like, we're so overextended. We're going to go want to fill these gaps. And so that's exactly what happened as market opened on Tuesday. Super overextended. Had all these super clean draws, in my opinion, because when you first start learning to trade, you learn the market. Why can't I draw? learn the market moves like this. Higher highs and higher lows. So when we're in uptrend, forming higher highs and higher lows, I'm seeing external liquidity be taken. So now we have this higher high. I want to go create a lower low. And what's a good point to make that higher low is the high time frame fair value gaps. So I want to see somewhere in here or here, reverse, go higher, continue the uptrend. And so that's where I was just dead wrong. As you can see, no even 1 hour down candles until the afternoon. But let me get over here on ES. Oh, I hope that hasn't been like that for a while. Let's just move this to Tuesday. Alright, so there's open. I'm trying to see. So basically, I was just looking for any sign to short, right? Super confident, and the draw is lower. Instead of looking for reasons to stay out of the market, I was looking for any reason to get in short. And one of the first things I saw was this SMT at these highs. Not a great SMT, but I was like, okay, that's a sign, possible reversal. So dropping down to the 1 minute. After seeing this, and then I see us reject the SMT, and then it looks like, yeah, we're missing a candle here, but no, it looks like it was 2 up candles. Oh no, we do break structure. No, I think we probably break structure again. But pretty much, we got a CISD right here. There was no like clean break of structure. And then the last thing really that I was looking at, I don't think there were any higher time frame gaps. But basically to see this get inversed, and I mean, literally just combining a bunch of confluence. Like really, this wasn't based on confluence. It was really based on bias. But like in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, like we reject this order block, which I don't really trade order blocks. I don't even know if this is like a valid order block or breaker block, whatever you call it. But I see that, just place off of it again. And so I think I get in like right here again, really just based off this 1 minute SMT and like displacement off of the SMT. I decided to get in, basically just based off bias. And then was probably targeting, I don't know if I was targeting that low, probably right here, that first 4 hour gap. So that trade looks something like this. And obviously gets stopped out. And now at this point, I hadn't taken anything else. But now since market open up to these highs, we moved about 166 points and it's 11 o'clock. So it's getting really late into the AM session for me, or at least how I trade. And so I should have just said, okay, I wasn't right about today, and I should have walked away. But I was married to my bias, and I was like, at this point, I was on like a 15 to 20 day green streak. And I was like, I know where market wants to go, so I'm going to take another trade. And so I enter on the 5 minute break of structure, targeting probably here now, and I lose again. Not good. And so I think I stopped there. Like at that point, we're just ripping. And then I'm pretty sure, I think I, so at that point, I was down, it was more like 1.5 R risk to reward. because this first trade was super light because of how early I got in. Again, just like kind of based off of bias. And then this was like a full size loss, so I'm down like 1.5 risk to reward. And now it's the PM, and I'm like, I still think like we're even more overextended now. Still want to see shorts, and so I take this reaction out of this gap, and my stop loss just gets obliterated. And so that's the thing. Like after seeing how strange the market acted today, like I don't know why I couldn't just accept the fact that I was wrong. But that third trade, I decided to take on just my stack of Lucid Fundeds, just because I had built up a nice buffer on those, and I was like, I've got a nice buffer. Like, I really think shorts are valid. Like, I want to see shorts play out, and so I took another trade, and that's just something I'm not supposed to do. I failed to recognize I was thinking emotionally, and failed to just recognize the market conditions, right? And so that can carry over in your trading, like to the next day. You're like, oh, I've got to make all that money back now. Luckily, I stopped there. I stopped trading my accounts. But yeah, I was pretty disappointed in myself on Tuesday. But now today is Wednesday, and I managed to get some of that big loss from yesterday back. Again, coming into the market though, I was thinking, okay, it was pretty much the same thought process. I just traded better. All right. Anyways, I had the same thought process today as I did yesterday. I just executed better today. I sat down with myself, or like sat myself down, just really reflected what I could have done better, and luckily I had the opportunity to prove to myself that I am a disciplined trader, and that yesterday was a hiccup. But I see us playing with this 4-hour gap pre-market, but I liked this draw, this other 4-hour gap, and so I was like, okay, I want shorts, but I see these, excuse me, these wicks, and so I'm thinking, okay, we're probably gonna manipulate those before we go lower. Like I didn't want to just see us dump off open. If we dump this 4-hour gap off open, then yeah, I'm flipping biases. I'm gonna be long for the day. So that's exactly what happens. And then I almost took this short, this 5-minute break of structure. It looked very, very clean. We sweep the data highs, or whatever you want to call them, wick highs, data highs, tweet highs. But whatever you call it, we reject hard off of those, and that 5-minute break of structure looks really clean. But I saw us playing within this 4-hour gap, and we were also in a 1-hour gap, rejected it multiple times. And then I was also looking here at this 15-minute, and I see, I'll mark out the 5-minute close. Yeah, you can see the 5-minute close doesn't inverse that 15-minute gap yet. And so I decided to sit out because while we did have 5-minute confluences pointing towards the fact that we probably want to short, I wanted to see some sort of retracement into those 1-minute fair value gaps and continuation confluences, and then inverse either this 15-minute or hourly to take shorts. Because obviously we're still so super overextended, and I was like, yesterday, like I thought I was seeing clean short setups, but they weren't playing out. Like I'm gonna wait for every confirmation possible. And so I didn't take that 5-minute break, and luckily I was right to do so. Because as you can see, obviously we ripped right back up right away. So the trade I took was right here. Yeah, we SMT. I believe this was a 15-minute as well. But on the 5-minute, we SMT this, and we start going back up. Now, I can't remember okay, I got somewhere on in this candle. So I'm seeing how hard we're rejecting off this SMT on NQ. Think there was a 2-minute gap. Yeah, so we inversed the 2-minute gap, and I'm seeing NQ show way more signs that were bullish than ES. So ES had created this 5-minute gap, which we want to inverse if we're gonna long, but NQ didn't have anything like that. So the only thing in my mind was like, okay, we inversed that 2-minute, like that looks pretty good, but ES was still like down here somewhere. And so while ES starts to play within this 5-minute gap, I believe NQ had already broken structure. Yeah, so we break structure here on the NASDAQ, but ES has just created this gap, and now we reject hard off this 1-minute gap finally. We put in a big wick. The SMT holds, and then I believe I got in right here. So I entered the trade on NASDAQ off of the ES break of structure. Basically, I just wanted what I should have probably done is waited for ES to inverse the 5-minute. But after seeing this, I was like, okay, I really just don't think we're going to short today. Like, I think we're just going to continue this uptrend. And so I probably took an early entry, admittedly. But I don't think it was too bad because we had a protected low and more clean draws, and we're in an aggressive uptrend. And so I had TP here, get in here. Basically, while I'm in the trade, I'm just watching ES. Luckily, we inversed that 5-minute, and then this trade was pretty brutal. It was a long trade. But I did not ride it to that TP just because that's a huge TP. Like, I'm rarely ever going for 200 points. But what highs? I entered the trade based off of what ES was doing, and I also exited the trade based off of ES. So now I'm going to drop back down. Okay, so ES first sweeps that high. Where does ES first sweep? Oh. Okay. 1 moment. Could have been here. Or here. Yeah. Okay. I just dropped to the 1-minute. So yeah, swept that first 4-hour high, or the nearest like external 4-hour high at 11:12, and so I closed half my position at 11:12, right here, and then I was waiting. I was either gonna let this ride out or wait for ES to sweep this second 4-hour high, and then I'm pretty sure I had trailed stops somewhere in here, somewhere in this range. And then at this point I was like, we're so like overextended. I'm up 130 points. Like, I don't need to try to squeeze out any more than this. And so I was gonna let it ride though, but when this was a 5-minute, this down move was a 5-minute inversion. And once I see us inverse on the 5-minute and reject hard off this 1-minute gap, I was like, okay, I'm fully out there. And so full TP was about like 128 points, the average. And yeah, I mean, I was happy that I was able to recognize that we probably wanted more confirmation to short, just given the market conditions. And I was able to flip biases very accurately and hold for a good take profit, even though, I mean, we ended up hitting that high with like very little stress, but not too disappointed with how I managed the position. I think the loss yesterday might have stopped me from wanting to hold for the full take profit, or because I was scared of like getting break even. Like I wanted to secure those profits. I was seeing the number, being like, that's how much I lost yesterday, but like I broke my rules. I shouldn't have lost that. So I was just trying to secure that. But at the end of the day, I don't really need to be going for 200-point trades. But outlook for tomorrow and Friday. I mean, probably longs. To be honest, like it just doesn't look like we're gonna get a retrace, which is gonna drive me crazy. But I don't know. Like probably same thing. Like I'll wait for like a 15-minute break or something if we're gonna short. But like ES is probably gonna be at all-time highs when I wake up tomorrow. So like probably just need a small retrace and then press long. Like NQ's not that much further. Yeah, I mean we probably need a couple days to get there, but I could see like maybe off market open tomorrow go like fill a 1 hour gap and just rip to all-time highs or rip even higher. And then I'd be shocked if Friday like moves at all. How much have we moved this week? It's been insane the last 3 weeks. Yeah, like that's ridiculous. It was like the same thing last week. We had clean price action all week, and then after a 1,300-point candle, we just chopped on Friday. So it's all about discipline at the end of the day, recognizing market conditions. So hopefully I can keep it up. I'll pull up my trade sinker really quick. Okay, so here's my trade sinker P&L. So this was March when I started the Lucid stack. 3 nice wins in a row to start the stack. That's always awesome. And then looks like I won Monday, no trades Tuesday, and then a loss on Wednesday. So that started April with a loss, and then 4 winning days in a row. And then here's this week. So decent sized win on Monday. The mess up Tuesday, that's obviously can't happen. Like look at these losses. 2,000, 2,000. My wins are like 4, like 3 to 4. So I mean this just can't happen. I did. So it looks like I started sizing up. I think last week sometime. When did I start? I think this was the day. No, I think this is the first full week. I'm on 10 fundeds now. So I added 5 alpha futures accounts. So that's why it's a little heavier here. So this should have been like this would have been like 5K with this sizing. So still like 2.5 times my normal loss. Like that just can't happen. Like if you're doing that even once a week, long term you're not going to be profitable. So I mean, was taking a lot of wins. Just have to remember I'm not invincible. And days like this will just feel so much better. If I could have mitigated this loss, which I very well should have yesterday. But just got to keep it up. Slow grind.
All right, we had a good. All right, we had a very good Thursday morning, and so let's recap that trade. So obviously, still in an uptrend, super bullish. Um, Everything's just ripping. So for me, I was looking for like confirmation that we wanted to long today, and that was ES having all-time highs very near, and NQ had this high. And so, like I said in the last recap, when the market's trending, higher highs, higher lows, and you can see here, before this 4 hour candle, there were 2 spots, I guess 3, but this would be pretty deep for a retrace, but 2 or 3 spots to reverse. And if you look at equilibrium of the 4 hour, this is just pretty deep. So really, in my mind, it was just 2 spots to reverse from. Either of these 4 hour gaps would have been valid. And so the reason why I wanted to long out of the gap instead of longing into or shorting into it, I'll draw these again. when we're going higher highs and higher lows, these higher lows are going to be more choppy and they're not going to be as big. So, like if you just look at market open, like kind of while we were accumulating, and then we mark out market open, so it's 150 points, but then from there, almost a 300 point move, so it's almost twice as big. So I'm always going to want to prefer to trade with the trend in this scenario. I don't think a short was bad, but you would probably just have to TP. You'd be one, shorting through a high time frame 4 hour gap, and two, you'd probably have to TP either at the tap or at like equilibrium. Like just shorting to the fill isn't very comfortable for me because, like I said, it's much more probable that we're gonna like want to sweep a high, but when it's just harder to like predict where the reversal is gonna happen. Remember, I was like, it can reverse here or equilibrium, but the draw is this high, so that's why I'm always gonna like to trade towards the obvious draw. And so it just wasn't really looking short. I was kind of just waiting for manipulation. I don't really have any thoughts on like the short entries. Um, just because I was like, okay, this is manipulation. Like I'm gonna long out of this gap. So we end up breaking structure, and then so like when we hit equilibrium here, I'm like, okay, this is perfect. Like if we're gonna reverse, like this could be a point where we do it, and we put in this 5 minute gap. Let's get rid of some of these. We put in this 5 minute gap on ES as well. And then I don't know, yeah, so there were like no gaps higher than that. So really I was just kind of watching that. Wasn't gonna long until we inverse it. But I end up getting in early for a couple reasons. So I mean we inversed, actually no, I got in before that. But as you can see here, it's just like a strong recovery off of the 4 hour gap. And then we're breaking structure. We're not leaving any gaps. And so just like when we displace through this gap, like it doesn't hold, we inverse the last 1 minute. I was like, okay, like I don't really want to wait for the 5 minute inverse. I ended up taking it a couple minutes early just because there's a lot of bullish momentum. Um, I guess like it's technically like a little bit considered FOMO. Um, like it would have been ideal to wait for the 5 minute gap to inverse. I mean, as you can see, we didn't inverse it, but then we come back down, hit 5 minute equilibrium on a retrace, and get a nice inverse out of it. So like better trade is probably this inverse, or just when we end up actually inversing this gap. So like either one of these look pretty decent to me. And then I'm just sizing with like what I'm comfortable losing. So I was in like a couple micros. So I get in here on this candle close, targeting that 4 hour high I was talking about. Actually, I'm gonna get rid of these. I don't know what all those lines are, but in there. Stops at the low just because it was most protected. And then was this the high I was targeting? I guess it was. And so I took my partials at London, and then I didn't ride this to full TP. You can see I got out like right here. When we're just chopping, like ES should want to just rip through all-time highs. And we had this 5 minute tap, like right before this move. Same on ES. So like when we're not going super strong towards that draw, I'm just trailing pretty tight. So I trailed to that 5 minute tap, and then we put in another low, expand off it, so I'm in at that low. and then there's another low, and we're like out there, and then after this candle, and this candle, I just trailed to right here and end up getting stopped there. So I mean, I like if it hits full TP, I'm missing out on like $20 profit or something, and like it's kind of just a non-factor to me. Like I'd still be riding this trade if I just held at break even. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal. Most of my trades are going straight to take profit, or not straight to take profit, but like I'm not getting stopped in profit. It has happened like twice this week now. Um, so maybe something I need to keep an eye on, but I don't think that was too bad because, like I said, we should just want to rip to all-time highs on ES, and this is a strong draw, so I'm fine just trailing tight there. Um, but I hadn't trailed until like here. I was break even after London, and then I trailed to like somewhere maybe like here. We put in this low, go up. I'm trailing there maybe, and then I really didn't mess with it until we got much closer. So I don't know. I think I managed it good there. Um, but yeah, like I said, maybe a little bit risky. Um, entering while ES is playing within the gap still, but at the end of the day, like obvious uptrend, and yeah, NQ is like pushing through with a lot of bullish momentum. So it's like I'm always trading like off of my bias. My bias is my strongest point in trading, and so I mean I'm fine just taking that, I guess, because as long as the 1 minute is bullish, like I'll really take a lot of different trades. Um,
Man, we won again. And now we are one winning day away from a payout. Max payout times 10. I'm gonna go for 150 profit on the Lucids on Monday and 200 on the Alphas. So let's recap this trade today. Um, we had all-time highs. Excuse me. Uh, ES started at all-time highs, pretty much. Um, right here, we might have opened this session above all-time highs. NQ still had to take them out. So this was the opening candle. We had a big bullish move up. Like it's just obvious we're gonna go take all-time highs now. It's been a crazy week. There was no reason to be looking short. All I see when 9:30 opens is this 15-minute gap. We're playing inside the 15-minute gap. If longs are gonna happen, this gap is going to hold. And so then because I was so bullish, I didn't take this 5-minute inverse. I got in before on the 1-minute break of structure. Right here. Got lucky that I didn't get stopped out, and we ended up SMTing these lows in the 15-minute gap. But this is one of those trades like if I get stopped out here, I'm willing to take a second trade and get back in. And if we did like end up sweeping this, or I got stopped out, then you can just long this inverse or the break of structure again, something like this, and you make all that loss back and some. So I mean, super easy day. And I don't got much else. Looking forward to next week. Hopefully I can lock in on Monday, get that winning day, not force anything, don't chase anything, and we'll be good from there. Start scaling up, get some more accounts.